Very well, and now we're heading to the good news from out for the Higher Education Financing Students Board that released a list for this academic year beneficiaries in regards to students' loans. And the expected students to be benefiting from this academic year are 1,530 across Uganda to benefit from the Higher Education Students Financing Board, which released the approved successful students for the loan beneficiaries on Lot 2 for the academic year 2021-2022. A few weeks back, the Higher Education Financing Board released the list of successful candidates across that, and which is including Makerere University, Chambogo, Gulu, and Soroti University in diploma awarding other tertiary institutions has been also released. And we'll be joining an expert shortly after this.
During the release of the calendar or schedule of the key dates and activities prior to the final conduct of the 2022 primary leaving examination, Uganda Certificate of Education and Advanced
the Higher Education Financing Board report on the release, and also what expectations are greatly they're going to be affluent, and also how many students across the country and in what lens are going to be benefiting from such an initiative of government. And away from that, we're going to be encountering with the expert who has been a beneficiary of the student loan at the same time, who has been a board member, around the Higher Education Financing Board, to tell us more about these student loans and also how exactly and who exactly are the beneficiaries. I think we are now ready to roll for to have a highlight onto the students' loan. Take this report a look and listen. We do return with an expert view.
A few weeks back, Higher Education Students Financing Board released the list of successful beneficiaries under Lot 1 institutions, which included all the private universities and the 4 public institutions. Today, a list of successful loan scheme applicants under Lot 2 institutions, which include Makerere University, Chambogo, Gulu, Lira, Soroti University, diploma awarding and other tertiary institutions, has been released. During the event hosted at the Uganda Media Center, Honorable Dr. Joyce Moriku congratulated the beneficiaries and challenged them to work hard in their studies, remain disciplined and focused. She says they should always remember that they are studying on credit, and this should motivate them to pursue excellence in their studies, such that this loan helps them to achieve their career dreams and to contribute positively to the society. She also challenges those who have benefited from the scheme to voluntarily pay their loans.
Call upon all the beneficiaries of the Students' Loan Scheme to work hard in your respective studies. Remain committed, be disciplined, and be focused. Remember that you are studying on credit, and this should motivate you more to pursue excellence in your studies, such that this loan will help you to achieve your career dreams and contribute positively you as a person to the society in future. To those who have finished their studies and they are in their repayment period,
Dr. Joyce highlights that the Higher Education Students Financing Board purposefully provided extra 7 points to female applicants, hence making it 44.5% out of 1,530 successful applicants. She calls upon girls to embrace and work hard in science subjects.
Board purposefully provided extra 7 points to the female applicants, so as to increase the gender parity in the distribution of these loans. I want to thank the board for that call for that action. Thank you, board, for making that affirmative action increment point for the girl child. And I want to call upon all the girls to continue working hard. Girls, continue to work hard in science subjects, especially science subjects at secondary education level, as we continue to increase the number of girls in science education.
Moriku also remarks that the government recognizes the increasing demand for study loans and therefore pledges to increase the budget to support more disadvantaged students.
As government of Uganda, we recognize the increasing demand for the student loans as evidenced in this year's application to the board. And on behalf of government, I wish to pledge a total commitment to increase the budget to support more disadvantaged students to start and to complete their studies. The board has presented a number of requests in this regard, and these are being discussed in the current budget framework. In different committees of Parliament, and I also want to appreciate our committee in Parliament for Education for this great work they are doing as far as the budget framework paper is concerned. I'm sure the discussions will have a positive impact on the budget of the board, ultimately increasing the number of students being supported.
Michael Wanyama, the Executive Director, Higher Education Students Financing Board, in his report said that in Lot 2, the board received a total of 1,226 loan applications and 198 were rejected as they were falling outside the eligibility criteria and 1,028 were processed. Out of the processed applications, the board has awarded financial support to 610 successful loan applicants that include 385, 63.1% males, while 225, 36.9% are females. Wanyama, while presenting the consolidated report, highlighted the combining applications in Lot 1 and Lot 2. The board received a total of 6,023 loan applications from both lots of applications. A total of 4,873 applicants were appraised and found eligible for support. The remaining 1,150 applications were rejected as they were found to lie outside the eligibility criteria. Of the processed total of 4,873 applications, 3,528, 72.4% were male applicants, while 1,345, 27.6% were female applicants.
I'd like to inform the public that in this 8th cohort, we received a total of 6,023 loan applications, and in both lots, a total of 4,873 applicants were eligible for the loans. And I'll be reading to you later the numbers that we have supported. Of the eligible number, which stands at 4,873. Honorable Minister and the public, 3,528 are male, standing at 72.4%, while 1,345 are female applicants, standing at 27.6%.
The Higher Education Students Financing Board released the second list for the academic year's government school fees loan beneficiaries. 610 students from all districts of the country were selected, bringing the number of those that will benefit to 1,530 beneficiaries.
And congratulations to all the shortlisted candidates. Joining me now is Alfred Ongwen, who has been a beneficiary of this project and also a former board member of the Higher Education Financing Students Board. Thank you for joining us, Alfred. If you could hear me, please enlighten us about what is the difference between government sponsorship and student loan.
Okay, thank you. And I want to greet our viewers. Yes, my name is Alfred Ongwen, as you've stated, and I want to put it categorically clear that I'm a former board member on the Higher Education Students Financing Board, where I was representing students. The question you put forward, government sponsorship is a program that has been running for a while, where after every examination period and results come back, there is a central committee that selects the best performing students who are selected on merit by way of their performance. And usually they pick the top performing ones. But when you look at that, usually it leaves out regional balance and all other things, because you're looking at only top performing students who probably come from within the same central area that has those schools that perform well. So, and of course, in view of very many government interventions to enhance education, improve education, and including higher education, so government thought it wise to put up a board that would help give loans to finance education at higher education, at higher institutions, to students who may not be affording and have passed and gotten admitted. And that's how the Higher Education Students Financing Board was given birth to in 2014, to offer loans, study loans to students so they can pay later after they've graduated and probably working. So the government sponsorship is a national...
on how the process all went. Maybe it could help someone who is to become yet a beneficiary.
Yeah, and also just the other thing I want to put clear to the viewers is that I've not been a beneficiary, but I was a board member representing students, chosen by the students. Yeah, so, but I've interacted with a lot of beneficiaries, but also I know what the process is, having been a member of the board. These loans are given to persons that qualify. And how do you qualify? One, you must, of course, be a Ugandan. You must have finished your senior 6 and gotten admitted to an institution. So the board has a criteria that gives scorecard to every applicant based on a lot of things, including their economic situation, the economic background, their performance, and the courses that they've applied for. Because if the board does not give loans to persons pursuing any kind of course, there is a list of courses that government thinks are very crucial to the development of the economy. And yes, most of us will say they are science courses, but there are also those that are not purely science, but there is a list of courses. And as we talk to date, I think the board considers over 130 courses altogether. So one, eligibility is having applied for a course that is underlined or listed under the course, under the loan scheme. But also you must have an admission here, and you must be a student and Ugandan, and everyone can be able to apply.
Okay, I'm learning that from your communication, it's only senior 6 candidates and above, even university. Why? I believe that at some point, some of the youth or even some students around the country may be limited to execute the higher levels of education because of, finances.
Well, thank you for that question. It's not only senior 6. Let me make it a bit more clear. Yeah, the board, and according to the act that establishes the board, defines higher education as degree and diploma and above, So apparently the board is considering those undertaking diplomas and undergraduate degrees. So for as long as you've applied for any of those, you could be coming from certificate and going for diploma. You could be coming from senior 6 and going for diploma, or from diploma going for degree, or from senior 6 going for degree. So you must have an admission for either a diploma course or a degree course.
Apply to senior 4. senior for leavers?
Not exactly. You must have an admission degree or a diploma. So you realize that what makes you qualify for either of the two, either coming from a certificate to a diploma, a senior 6 to a diploma, or senior 6 to degree, or diploma to degree. So you must have an admission of either diploma or senior 6.
So much. And as a representative for students during your service at the board, what are some of the challenges that you know were encountered on as this exercise was being rolled out, or even beneficiaries? Give us your feedback on how it all transpires.
Well, first of all, I really want to thank the board and the team there. They've really done tremendous work over the years. And as we talk now, following the recently released list, I think in total, they must have now over 12,000 students sponsored from when the program started. But well, the underlying and the main problem that the board still faces until the time I left and until even up to now, given the statistics you are giving out there, is the limited fund. Apparently, the board has, the funding of the board over the time, I think has sort of been constant with a slight improvement, but now every other year the number of the applicants increase. And as you may realize, just given the 2 years we've put behind, the economy is not that very well in very many pockets of the parents, so tuition is a problem. But now the board has a problem of financing. If you look at the statistics you gave, over 6,000 students applied this year. And over 4,000 of those were eligible. And just about 1,500 are the students that the board could take up. That is like a half of the total applicants. And that leaves a huge percentage without the chance to access higher education through the loan scheme. So I think if Parliament could appropriate more funds so that all these students can be absorbed, well, I think that will solve a lot of the main challenge that the board has, and it's specifically financing.
What's the funding? So I get a loan, Rita, I get a loan. I don't know what amount. You could clarify, beginning from what amount. Then after my studies, does this cater for the whole of my academic studies, or it's just a semester? And then what happens next? What is the term of repaying back? Do I put profits? Please enlighten us there.
Thank you. Talking about the amount, the reason one must be having an admission is so that the board knows, both the applicant and the board knows, that this student that we are going to finance is studying in this university for this course, and this is the match that is required for the course for every academic year, and their course is this number of years, so the total loan is going to be this much. So the amount of the loan given is known by both the students and the board because they feel an agreement by, of course, by knowing the course and the match the course costs. So, and it caters for mainly tuition and functional fees. Now, when you get this loan, after your studies, the board has designed a policy that is a bit lenient. You're given a grace period of 1 year from the time you graduate. And well, the general expectation is that between then, you're trying to sort out yourself, getting employed and something like that. Then after that grace period, you're expected to start remitting or repaying your loan. And it is not that you pay it once at all, but well, if you have the money, the board is okay with that. But it is a monthly payment from a little bit of your salary. And I think they can only take up to at most 30% of your net pay, at most 30%. That means you could pay less than that every other month, depending on what issues you have and how the arrangements you make with the board. So you pay it, and the maximum period of time you're expected to pay this loan after the grace period of 1 year is a period that is twice the period of your course of study. For example, if I studied medicine on loan scheme, which is 5 years, then I'm expected to pay it within the next 10 years after the 1 year grace period. If I studied the course of 4 years, then I'm expected to pay it within the next 8 years after the grace period of one year.
Yeah. That I will not be a defaulter. What equipment do you hold? I don't know if it has happened anyway, but if the grace period is like 2 years, what if a student does not get, you know, an employment opportunity around that time? What happens?
Well, I want you to also appreciate that in the generation we are in and the times we are in, of course, we know there are things to do with scarcity of jobs. But you see, the courses that the board finances are those that, first of all, I personally think are courses that one may not hardly fail to get a job or what to do. We need to appreciate that going to school is not necessarily to get a job, but it's a platform and an exposure that helps us find a way of living. So it does not necessarily have to be a job per se. Maybe I finish school and I do business. Maybe I start up a project that would get funding, which I wouldn't have done if I hadn't gotten this exposure. But well, that said, the board is a bit lenient really that, okay, if you don't get a job in 1 year, yeah, you engage them, they can reschedule your payment plan. So they are not that harsh. But of course, I can't promise what would happen if you don't get a job in 5 years, really. I can't promise. Yeah, so on defaulting, I really think it's not very easy to default because the kind of agreement the board makes with the students, the kind of requirements before the loan is given, aimed at making sure really we don't have defaulters. The students are followed up. The board has a working relationship with the employers of this country, the Employers Federation, and all other agencies. So the board is able to follow up and effect the recovery really. Because it's a revolving fund, you're supposed to study, pay back, so it helps someone else.
So much. And maybe if you could give us any last submissions on your advice on to the people who take up these loans, and also what is your appeal on to making it actually in use, because I may take up a loan and maybe turn it out to be something else.
Yes, first of all, to the people that take up the loan, I personally have been in a situation of wanting to study when I didn't have money while I was joining university. And while when students are looking out for these loans, most of them are usually in a situation of desperation because they don't, by the time you come for a loan, it means that's where you're looking. So the same way and the same spirit and the energy with which they look for these loans is the same spirit they should, and the seriousness they should put in their studies. Like the Honorable Minister said, being that you're studying on a loan, that should actually motivate you to work harder so that first of all, they pass and they don't have any, they don't lag behind in their study timeline. But after that, they should be creative to see that this loan is paid back easily because it's a revolving fund, like I said before. When you pay back this loan, money goes back to the board and it helps finance someone else, just like it did for you. So that's for them. Then the other thing is I would want to appeal to government still that a little more or actually more funds given to the board, so as because the motto or the slogan of the board, and actually the main aim, is to increase access to higher education. So now if we have all these people applying and we cannot absorb even a half or nearly a quarter of them, then it is not helping much. I'm not saying it is not helping, but if we cannot absorb as much as the applicants, then it is not helping much. So I would want to appeal to Parliament and government to appropriate more funds to the board so that students access these loans, study, and so we have a good human resource capacity for our country and a productive population.
Just don't leave us without at least highlighting for us why government, why public universities, Why not private?
Oh, yeah. That wasn't asked. It is not only government universities. The board has over time spread to over 12 private universities now, and all government universities and all other tertiary institutions that are government. So the board works with over 12 private universities, but private chartered, because a chartered university, a charter is the highest level of licensing in the private sector of universities. And that charter gives guarantee that this university has capacity, this university is there, it is here. So it's up to 12 private universities, actually all the main private universities, I should say, that you know of, and all public universities and all tertiary, other tertiary institutions that are diploma awarding. So it's not only government.
Thank you so much for your time, Alfred. A good day from us.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you. To the end of SMB right here. More will be coming up shortly after the break in regards to business information. I'm Rita Cabanero and Jerome Posonko has been with me, and we will be here the next day. Surely do not tune in away. Keep driving business with us.